Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want to speak about a couple of Quran ayats about marriage, and I'm going to use Tafsir Asahdi to kind of give some Tafsir and some explanation on it. And I want to speak on it because before Ramadan started, even during Ramadan, I've seen some marriages ending, going through a lot of turmoil for the wrong reasons. I've seen people get married for the wrong reasons. I've seen people marry the wrong people for what they think is the right reasons. And I'm seeing Muslims, male and female, just having sex with non-Muslims and trying to develop right relationships, and it's not working out for them. So I want to speak about what Allah says, a kind of a warning that's given to us about marriage, right? But I have to say this. When I'm saying I'm seeing people getting married for the wrong reasons, so, and it's not working, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be, specific. I'm literally seeing brothers marrying sisters for sex. They not really living with them, so they not looking for the whole 3 meals a day, wash my clothes, cook my food. They marrying them for sex. This is, no knock to the sisters, but they deen isn't really like the studying, reading books, praying at night type of deen, which some brothers look for. Like some of the brothers I'm speaking of specifically, at one point, this is the type of wife they want. But these women, they don't come with that. But 97% of it is to fulfill their sexual desires and to protect their private parts. And the marriage isn't working for them because men can have sex with women that they don't like. If a relationship comes with that, a relationship just comes with it. Okay? And in Islam, we can't we got to be married. So if a marriage comes with it, a marriage just comes with it. Right? And then on the flip side, I'm seeing women marry men that they don't necessarily like, that don't possess the type of deen that's in the brother that they be asking for. The same thing. The brother that's up praying at night, the brother that could teach them Quran, the things that they be saying they want, the brother doesn't have that. But this brother appears to be able to take care of their financial to-do list. These bills, take my kid to the masjid, my sons to the masjid, lead the prayers when we at home, right? Put food in the house. They appear to be able to do that, but they don't really like them either. So just like how a man can have sex with a woman that he don't like, and if a relationship or marriage come with that, it just come with it. A woman will use and manipulate a man that they don't like for money and whatever else that they can get out of him. And if a relationship comes with it, it just comes with it. So you have two people that see some needs that they can get out of each other, but they don't necessarily like each other. There's actually things that they see about each other that they don't like, but they feel like they can deal with it. Him, I can deal with it for a little sex, few meals. Her, I can deal with it as long as I don't got to work. You know what I'm saying? These things. But you got two people that don't necessarily like each other. Now keep in mind, she doesn't really possess the type of deen that he want to see in a woman. He doesn't really possess the type of deen that she wants to see in a man. So Islamically, their deen isn't coming together to where their closeness and love is starting to develop in their heart because of deen. In fact, I'm seeing situations where they actually corrupting each other. They actually corrupting each other. You see what I'm saying? He not praying, she not praying. He fast some days, he don't. Some days he don't. So she fast some days and some days she don't. So the point is, you have two people coming together because they see some needs, but they don't necessarily like each other. And then in a lot of cases, they don't even know each other well enough to know if they're going to like the person. They don't even know the person. It may be some attraction there based off of a natural attraction because they've been alone for so long. Like an old saying goes, if you put a man and a woman in a house long enough, right, and they don't really go nowhere, like there's nobody else around, eventually something is going to happen between them two, regardless to how they look, regardless to what's this and that, because it's the same way. This is something that's been proven through. There's going to be some type of release. So, regardless to whatever it is. So a lot of situations is created where two people not necessarily liking each other trying to come together to save their private parts, to not be alone, to get taken care of. These things. But it's not feasibility. So the point is, it's not working. And then when they don't know each other, where they not even friends, a friendship isn't developing. They actually done became enemies in the house. Right? Now just listen at that word I said. They actually in the house enemies of one another. And now they both might jump petty. He trying to hurt her or hurt her feelings. She trying to hurt him or hurt his feelings. Doing spiteful stuff. And it's just not working. And then, the whole, because they're Muslim, I expected them to be different. But the difference that you expected in them, you didn't see it in them when you met them. You know what I'm saying? Just because a person is a Muslim, man, doesn't mean that they're going to be righteous. Especially here in America. Even like a lot of Muslims that I talk to, and we be honest, and we even be referring to ourselves, we actually see more Muslims that's not righteous than Muslims that we see that is righteous. They'll still lie to you. They'll still try to get over on you, male and female. It's just a reality. These marriages, they not working. And then dealing with non-Muslims so that they're not held accountable for their deen. But you have to understand, non-Muslims come from a hypersexual society. Relationships is not even a norm. People just having sex. You see what I'm saying? When you look at the internet, if you listen to a lot of the men and you listen to a lot of women and looking at these little shows, or you just get snippets, the men and women is arguing, and there's only two things in common. What can you demand? What is it that you could do for me? Or when they, what is it you bring to the table? Her. What is it that you can do for me? Sex and whatever we could do for each other is the only thing that's in between it. So some people just hook up and have sex. Some people might try to date to get to know each other. Or sometimes a dude, the female might make him jump through the loopholes for the sex. So this is their idea of what it is. Man, we just having sex. They not necessarily finna come to you and change that overnight. So when y'all end up in just a sexual thing, this is mainly for the women that I seen fell into it. I done just fell into a little sexual thing. Hey, that's what they come from. You know what I'm saying? That's what they come from. That's what the non-Muslim society come from. They don't come from a married world no more. I mean, of course, you're going to find your ones that do, but it's rare. Same with some of these brothers, man, They bump in to get to having sex with some of these non-Muslim women, you know what I'm saying? Where, at least with a Muslim woman, they feel like, part of your rights is that they do cook for you sometimes. Some of these non-Muslim women, man, hey, I ain't cooking, man. You got to take me out to eat. Like, I need my hair, nails, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't going to just be screwing you for free. And it's not working. That's my point. So we making these decisions, man, and expecting them to work, but they highly unfavorable situations from the beginning. So like I said, man, you see people end up in the house, man, and they be enemies of one another. So look at this. Look what Allah tells us in the Quran. And this is why you got to be careful. You got to make your choices and your selection with the right intentions and sincerity in mind. Brothers, quit marrying sex. And women, quit marrying what somebody could do for you. Oh, this brother, I got all this and that. Or, like some sisters, man, they really don't have that much. But they might have a friend, Muslim sister, who work. And this Muslim sister might have all these shoes and all these clothes. And they might take trips. And then this sister don't work. And, she live in low-income housing. And she don't really have that much. Now she want to find some Muslim brother to provide the life that her friends has for her. But the brother that she pick, he don't even provide that type of life for himself. Like, he ain't got that type of bread. How you trying to get water out of a rock? You know what I'm saying? You can't marry Ron Doofy off the block and expect him to give you the type of life that Floyd Mayweather might give one of his girls. you see what I'm saying? You can't marry your everyday 9-to-5 brother and expect him to give you the type of life that a lawyer who makes a few $1 million give you. Like, it's delusional. You know what I'm saying? They can't give you what they don't have. And if you had enough conversation and enough game to talk them into becoming that type of brother, you probably would have been married to somebody years ago that you done that for. Same with the brothers, man. Unfortunately, I'm finna use a term that I shouldn't use, but I'm going to be very careful as I use it. In the dunya, in Jahiliyyah, well, I'm going to say when we was ignorant, they had a term. I don't think the new generation really used it, the younger people, but they had a term. You can't turn a specific type of woman into a housewife. Now I'm going to be frank, I'm not judging nobody. Just like a lot of us brothers, we came from the streets. Alhamdulillah, I never been in prison. A lot of these brothers who done accepted Islam, they came from the prison. They accepted Islam in the penitentiary. They come from the penitentiary. You know what I'm saying? Some of these brothers been locked up longer than they've been in the world. But on the flip side is, some of these females come from the same background and they accepted Islam. They was the type of females that was attached to the cats going in and out of prison. They was the ones that was attached to all the street dudes that was hustling. And they was doing what they had to do to be with them, and them brothers was doing what they had to do to keep them type of females around them. They couldn't turn them into a housewife. So sometimes, just because those brothers accepted Islam and then those sisters accepted Islam also, that don't mean that brother know how to be a husband, and that don't mean she knows how to be a wife. You possibly can't turn her into a wife. You see what I'm saying? So y'all have to find some type of middle ground. You just got to be realistic. Everybody change, but everybody can change, but not everybody does. You understand? So you got to keep these things in mind, because look what Allah tells us. And I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. And hopefully this will help some people, because I'm seeing a lot of people feeling like, I'm going to speak on this before I read the ayat. I seen like a little 5-minute video floating around on social media where I guess it's some Somalian Muslim sisters. They got like a little podcast. So, people was getting mad, man, because these Muslim sisters was basically saying, because I'm Muslim and because I'm covered up, I don't want you to view me as I'm your wife, so don't view me as this sweet little innocent girl. I want you to view me as, you could treat me like those girls you fantasize about. I want to fulfill all your fantasies. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she was saying a conversation I guess she had with a marriage that didn't work out, and it was like, well, why you didn't ask me to do none of those things? You going out here cheating, fooling around. Why you never asked me to do none of those things? I would have did it. There's no limit to what you could do with me. I'm your wife. And, his whole thing was like, basically I didn't think I could. But on the flip side is, with some of these sisters, sometimes don't sit around. If you know you want to do those type of things, just do them. Because sometimes the same reason why you don't just do them, because you don't want him to look at you like, okay, wait, she got some freak in her. Just do them. Don't wait for him to ask you, because like I said, if he don't think he can ask you to do certain things, he's not going to. But because they were speaking open, like, hey, I'm yours, man. Do whatever you want to do with me. I want to do those things. And because they was Muslim and they was covered up, people was kind of canceling them. But I see where they starting to feel the need to have to put that stuff out there, because they feel like, the Muslim men, they kind of going to different women because they think they can't do so-called freaky stuff with us. But it's going to that extent where they had to speak about it on their little podcast. And I thought it was interesting, because you got to put yourself out there. But the whole thing is, that's would be a little bit of my advice to those women, don't sit around and wait for your husband to ask you. Because some of them brothers that do be stepping out or they going to fool with these other girls, they not asking them to do the stuff they doing. Those girls just doing it. Now once they know that those girls will do it, then they might mention it. You know what I'm saying? You acting wholesome and this and that. You know. Now, if you see what I'm saying? Sometimes you just have to do it. Whatever you think those things are. And then it might open up the door for if they have some different sexual appetites that's permissible. So look at this Quran ayat. And it boils down exactly about what I'm talking about, where things don't work. And this is a major jewel that Allah has given us. It's in Surah 64, starting at ayat number 14. Right? O you who believe, verily among your spouses and your children, some of them are enemies to you. Now it uses the word in Arabic, audu, not like auzu, billah, audu, which does mean enemy. So Allah is letting us know some of your spouses, not only your spouses, but your children, some of your spouses are enemies to you. And you could sit up in a house and see two people that's married and they enemies to one another. Now, it says, so beware of them. Right? Now, some of the Tafsir explained because there were situations when certain people wanted to come and accept Islam or move to Medina where the Prophet was, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where they could be around the Prophet and the companions and be around Islam, their wives and children stopped them from doing it. They didn't necessarily want to go be around that deen. Some of them wanted to accept Islam, and their wives and kids didn't want to be a part of it. So later on in life, when they made that decision, they wanted to put their hands on their wives for stopping them. And this is why these ayats was revealed. And that's why I say, kind of pardon their misdeeds. Right? You might be the type of brother that wants to be real righteous. You might want a deen by the book, original deen, Quran and Sunnah. But if you got a wife around the crib that don't really pray like that don't really read books like that, don't even really want to go to the masjid, she might have some little habits. Like she might not want to cover. She might smoke a little. She might smoke it. She might drink a little bit. She might smoke cigarettes, right? She might have some little vices. And she not really becoming that Islamic sister. So now she might start to pull you down and say little things. And I'm just speaking from things I've seen. Are you think you better than me because you pray at night? Little stuff to start to tear him down and bring him back down to the level that she is, so she don't feel so bad about her deen around him. Same with some sisters. Sister might be reading, memorizing Quran, doing a lot of studying, and then she got some Muslim brother who's still playing the streets a little bit, get a little street money. He might have his vices. He might smoke a little bit. He might drink a little bit. And now, he's sitting around her, and it's the flip side. You ain't gonna pray. You ain't fasting. Oh, you need to shut up. You think you all that because you read a book. Now he starts to tear her down. These things play into being enemies to one another. Because also in the Tafsir it explains how it's saying your wives and your children might distract you from doing what Allah wants you to do. These are small forms of it. You see what I'm saying? Or y'all sitting around the house arguing over nothing. You know, you done married her for sex, and now she turning your sex down. She don't care if the angels get angry with her. She don't even care if Allah's angry. You see what I'm saying? If you got a woman that it doesn't matter to her if Allah's angry with her, what you think she gonna care about some angels getting mad and cursing her because she tell you, nah, you can't get it. And then she telling you can't get it because you didn't get her this purse. You know, you didn't take her to the place where her friend husband took her. You know, and then because of this and that, now you're not going to pay her phone bill and different things. And now it's just a bunch of turmoil in the house. Allah is letting us know. Some of you, man, y'all spouses, man. And it does use the word enemy in Arabic. Some of your spouses and your children are enemies to you, so beware of them. But it says, but if you pardon, overlook, and forgive their misdeeds, right? Then verily Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. And then it says, next ayat, 64, ayat 15, your wealth and your children are but a trial. But he used the word fitna in Arabic. Your wealth and your children are fitna, and with Allah there is an immense reward. So what is with Allah is better. You know what I'm saying? So 64:16, Allah tells us, so fear Allah as best as you can, listen and obey, and spend in charity for the good of your souls. Those who are protected from their own covetousness, it is they who will be the successful ones. 64:17, if you lend to Allah a goodly loan, He will multiply it for you and forgive you. Allah is appreciative. Do you see that there? Allah is appreciative. SubhanAllah. And most forbearing. The knower of the unseen and the seen, the Almighty and the Most Wise. So if Allah is telling you that your spouses can become enemies to you, you're going to have to be careful how you choose. And like I said, I'm also seeing certain circumstances, Muslim men and Muslim women, they're marrying, non-Muslim women because it's good for their dunya, but it's horrible for their deen. Muslim women messing with non-Muslim men because they looking at it from a dunya aspect and not from the aspect of their deen. Because like I said, I'm a wakil, and not putting nobody out there, but you see a Muslim sister, she married to a Muslim dude, you don't pray, you don't study, you making me fall off. I got a son, you never take him to the masjid. She's holding him to all of these standards. And on his back. And then then the marriage is over. And now you're dealing with a kafir and don't expect none of that out of him. This is a kafir. What about the praying? What about him taking your son to the masjid? You see what I'm saying? This same stuff you want to deal with the Muslim brother for. Now you don't hold that kafir to the same standard. and you're not even married to him. You know what I'm saying? You know, and like I said, I'm not knocking anybody who make these choices. I understand it. I understand it. You know, I have my struggles. You know, it's been a time in my life, man. You know, I've seen so many Muslim brothers, man, with non-Muslim women. We talking about not even permissible non-Muslim women. That I used to say to myself, man, you know, I'm probably going to end up with a non-permissible non-Muslim woman. Because, you know, some of these sisters that be non-Muslim, man, you know, they come through the door wanting to work with some of these brothers. Whether the brother need it or not. They don't have that "what have you done for me lately" mentality. I'm just saying some of them. You know what I'm saying? Some of these non-Muslim women, man, be like Khadijah, what Khadijah was for the Rasul. I know some brothers, man, they got some non-Muslim women, man, that's like Khadijah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and you can't knock it, but, you know, whether it's a distraction for their deen or not, whether they're an enemy because it's taking them away from what Allah tell them to do, you know, that's between them and Allah. But when you aware of this ayat, and then you look at the tafsirs, and then you look at the hadiths and different things that go with it, you're going to be careful about your choices and try not to let the shaitan trick you, man, and fall victim to your desires. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, Allah always speak the truth, and like Allah said, man, some of, and this is spouses. So some of y'all sisters, man. And then when you look at it, when you get more involved in the Quran, when they start to speak about a Kareem, where Allah place you with a Kareem could be your spouse. You know what I'm saying? A Kareem is basically a shaitan that's going to be in your life to mislead you, and they can possess a human. Your Muslim husband, your Muslim wife, man, could mess around and be a Kareem. And this isn't to, you know, I'm not trying to be a fear monger and instill any fear in anybody, but we need to start to make our Islamic choices in accordance with how Islam tell us to do it, so that it'll work for us, man. And like I said, I'm seeing situations where people are enemies to one another. You know what I'm saying? And I was listening to a brother who was talking about how the Quran speaks on how spouses, well, not necessarily the Quran, but it was him wording it the best he could, but basically how spouses will end up on the same level of Jannah. Now let's say it's decreed for you. Now listen to this. If you make it to Jannah, generally your spouse should be with you, and generally y'all gonna be on the same level. If you in a house striving for the highest level of Jannah, and you married to somebody that ain't even striving for Jannah, how long is that gonna last? So you need to find somebody that's on your level so that y'all could be on that level in Jannah. You can't be striving for the highest level of Jannah, and then you got a spouse, this male or female, whichever one. You can't be literally striving for the highest level of Jannah. Well, you can, but then the person that's in you is just like, I don't care what level I get on, as long as if I'm only in Jannah enough with enough space for just where my feet can stand. It's a possibility, being that spouses is generally meant to, if they get together, to be on the same level. You know, that's just something to think about. Like I said, just based off the way he was wording it. These ain't my words. This is just what I heard one of the brothers speaking about. And, you know, he a graduate from Medina. And, you know, it kind of made me sit back like, you know, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a whole thing about, like, for instance, like if you got good friends and y'all make it to Jannah, and, you know, you got family members that's Muslim, and y'all make it to Jannah, and if you, like, make it to level 6 and they make it to level 1, will y'all be able to visit each other? Like, can y'all go see each other? And yeah, y'all be able to visit each other, but, you know, they threw that analogy in, like, so dang, like, what if your spouse on level 1 and you on level 7? So they came in with the whole little thing about spouses, like, how would it be marital bliss if they not on the same level? But I sit down and say, you know, I look at the world. Right now, you got spouses that, you know, you might have some people that's married. Somebody live in Florida, and they married to somebody in Philly. You know what I'm saying? You might have somebody in New York married to somebody in Chicago. You even got people like right now that's in America and their wife is in Jordan or their wife is in Egypt. So they might, your spouse might be on a different level of you and Jenna, and, you know, I'm pretty sure if you could go visit somebody, you could spend a night. You might have to just go spend a night on level 1. But some of the things that I had a dream where I went to Jenna, right? Wallahi, I had a dream where I went to Jenna years ago, and it's something I might look into. And I made it to level 5, right? I made it to level 5. So I wasn't able to go to level 6, and I wasn't able to go to level 7. I was able to go visit, like if a person was on level 1, I can go visit them on level 1. But if I went to go visit somebody else that was on level 2, they couldn't come. So they wasn't able to go to. Now, I'm not saying this is how Jenna was. This is just what it was in my dream. And I had this dream before I read a lot of hadiths about what was to Jenna. And it blew my mind when I started reading the hadiths. Like one main thing was, and I was being escorted by an angel because I hadn't died. You see what I'm saying? So I wasn't dead. So like the whole process, my soul getting carried up by an angel, I went through all that. And the angel had to escort me around, and, you know, we had to go through a thing to where he had to find out which level I was going to end up on. So that's where he explained to me, we on level 5, you can't go to 6, you can't go to 7. So while we was there, I seen this tree, and they was grapes, but they was as big as apples. So I was looking at them, I was like, man, why do those look like grapes? And he was like, they are grapes, but they looked like grapes on an apple tree. That's why I said, why those apples look like grapes? He said they are grapes. He was like, basically, and this before I read it, the food here may look like what you had on earth, but it's different. So I was like, can I eat one? He was like, yeah, you can eat anything from these levels. I seen a whole river that was made of milk. It looked like milk. It was just all white. I didn't know what it was, but it looked like milk. Before I read about this stuff. So I grabbed one of them, and when I bit into it, it had the texture of a grape, but it didn't taste like a grape, but it was as big as an apple. And when I tasted, I was like, wow, I I know it tastes good, and I can't tell what it tastes like. And the angel explained to me, because you haven't died, you can't know those type of secrets of Jannah, and you going back to earth. So like, I knew when I was eating it, like, man, this is good. This is like something I never tasted before. But like right now, I can't describe what it tastes like or remember, because I hadn't died, and I couldn't bring that type of unseenness to the earth to tell people. That's what the angel told me. But anyway, I wasn't, we even went to an area where I seen people that was wallahi in a drink. They were stuck in the middle. They hadn't did enough bad to go to the hellfire, and they hadn't did enough good to come to make it to Jannah. But the crazy part was, it was like they was in a prison. Like, it was literally like prison bars, and I was allowed to go in there and kick it with them. You know what I'm saying? But it had a short time limit. And these was people who wasn't dead. So when I seen them, I was like, what about some people that has died? Can I go see some of them? And they was in between. So like, some of the people that had died, that I knew had accepted Islam, but they were stuck in the middle, I was able to go kick it with them. But it was only for a very short time. But the moral was from, so like they say, and I'm going to look more into it, because this was years ago when I had this dream. But if you on level 1, you can't go visit people on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. They can come visit you. I've seen it like that in my dream, and I heard it kind of spoke on, but not in depth. But I want to look into it now. But I'm sorry I went off into all of that. But like what they were saying, yeah, you can go visit them, but I don't know necessarily that y'all might have to be on the same level. But listening to him, the way he said that, like, yo, if you in a house, man, with somebody who not even striving for Jannah, and you striving for the highest level, how that's gonna work out? Where y'all gonna be on the same level? Because in my head, it put that thing in me like, yo, if that's true, if it's like that, I'm probably gonna be even pickier in marriage. I can't be striving for the highest level, and you only striving to barely get in. You might have me on the lowest level with you. So like I said, I don't know. This was just his analogy, so I'm not saying it's the hawk, but just be careful, man. Just be careful. All these Muslim marriage period is just failing. It ain't just Muslim marriages. Marriage period is failing. You know what I'm saying? And one of the biggest difference, like with the Muslims though, we have to get married. You know what I'm saying? These other people, although they supposed to get married too, or not have, they can date or not have sex before marriage, but we have to get married. So it's just gonna be what it is, man. So be careful, man, because you don't, the term sleeping with the enemy can be literal. You mess around and be sleeping with the enemy. So quit marrying sex, quit marrying money, quit marrying the dunya. Like, man, the whole dunya come with this girl. The whole dunya come with this guy. It ain't good for my deen, but hey, I could be out here living it up. Man, alhamdulillah, man. So, Allah is letting us know, man, what with Allah is better. And, like I say, man, I don't knock nobody's choices, man. I don't know my end. But I do fear it. I do fear it. Wallahi, I say, man, maybe probably in about like 2018, I really sat back, man, and I just laid back and said, man, I'm probably gonna end up married to a kafir. I'm probably gonna end up married to a kafir, you know what I'm saying? Because I seen so many Muslims doing it. You know? I'm like, so it ain't no hope for me, man. Like I'm gonna end up married to a non-Muslim. I don't knock it. You know, people gotta do what they do. Like it's so sad to the point I don't even knock sisters for being with non-Muslim men. I know they ain't supposed to do it, but I empathize with them. I understand how it's happening. Just like the same with the brothers, you know. Even, you know, some of these cats married and they stepping out with non-Muslim women. I understand how it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Brothers be, like I said with the sisters, you know, you got this man, you holding him to the standard. You ain't teaching my son Quran. You ain't taking him to the masjid for Jumu'ah to pray. But then start dealing with a kafir and none of that matters. I've seen brothers, man, who kept their foot on a Muslim woman's neck. You better not, you go to the grocery store, you better be back in 15 minutes. You can't be all in brother's face and, you know, kept their foot on their neck. And then they be married to a non-Muslim woman, man, and none of that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, wallahi, I ain't trying to knock them. That's just on them. But like I say, man, none of that matters. They, you know, and I do have to put this out because I know some brothers who married non-Muslim women in the recent years. So I'm saying the situations I'm talking about, like I don't even know. They married non-Muslim women in the recent years, but I don't know nothing about their situation. So I had to put that disclaimer out there because of what I'm finna say. Because it might apply to them. I don't know. But I'm not talking about them. I don't know their situation. But, you know, they don't care if they women cover. They don't care about them socializing around men. You know, they ain't got to be back. They got 15 minutes to grocery shop. Like none of that matters. You know, you can't wear pants. You can't wear tennis shoes because that's imitating men. And, you know, kept their foot on their wife's neck. But then they end up married to a non-Muslim woman and none of that matters. You don't read. You don't study. You got Jordans. Then they married to a non-Muslim woman, man, that's wear Jordans and tight jeans and you know, the little shirts that come right here with all their shoulders out and no sleeves, just like a little ruffle here, so all this showing, all the top of this showing. And they don't even care. But that Muslim woman, phone bill ain't, you go outside in them jeans, I bet I don't pay your phone bill. So, you know, all that stuff doesn't even matter. The same with like the sister. Man, you ain't no good. You don't take my son to the masjid. And now you with a kafir. None of that matters. Be that same lenient, man, like it say, man, like the Quran ayah say. You know, pardon those little things. You know what I'm saying? Then you probably be with a Muslim, man. But you too busy trying to stand on their neck. Now you with a kafir and none of that stuff even matters. I remember one time, man, a brother told me, man, this was in the 90s. He had a Muslim wife, man. I didn't even want to never step foot in his masjid. It was in this city. And the brother told me, man, because his wife was, you know, she was completely covered, right? And he had came over to my mother's house. And he was like, man, if anybody look at a Muslim woman, man, that's your wife, You supposed to kill him. And I looked at that brother, and his wife is out there. She covered up. I said, man, they taught you that at that masjid? This was here. I said, man, they taught you that at that masjid? Because I was here visiting my mother, so they came over my mother house. I said, man, they taught you that at that masjid over there? He was like, yeah. I said, I ain't going over there. But right now, you know what I'm saying? He stood on that Muslim sister too. And, right now, today, he been married to a non-Muslim woman and don't cover, show a lot of skin, tight clothes and all that. What happened to those same principles? Can't go to the grocery store, can't, you know what I'm saying? Got to walk around the grocery store like this. But now they with a non-Muslim woman and none of that matters. Like, man, alhamdulillah. But at the same time, maybe certain things in their deen doesn't matter no more either. Exactly what these Quran ayats talk about, man. Your spouses can end up being enemies for you. You know what I'm saying? So, alhamdulillah, man, So may Allah protect us all, and we got to start making better choices, man. We got to start making better choices, man. We got to start to keep it Islamic and do what the deen say, man. Quit chasing dunya, man. Quit chasing what somebody can do for you. Whether it's sex, whether it's pay your bills, whatever it is, the little trickery. Females staying in low-income housing, rent ain't nothing but $35, and then they marrying Muslim brothers talking about they rent $700, as if the brother can't look up the apartment complex on Google and see what the going rate is. Just little stuff that I've seen with my own eyes. Advising sisters on why I kill for, like, hey man, you can't do that. You can't tell that brother that. If I find out you told that brother that, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him your rent $35. It's not $700. No, you can't do that. I'm going to put up $500 every single month. That way when we get divorced, I think we at least have $1,500. So y'all got about a good 3-month run then, huh? You done already calculated $1,500. If I find out you tell that brother, man, your rent $700, I'm gonna tell him. So we gotta quit marrying, man, what we think somebody can do for us, man, because Allah is making it clear. You just might be sleeping with an enemy. And that enemy might be a Kareem. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Any mistakes I made came from myself and the shaitan. And anything I said that was correct came from Allah Azza wa Jal. And let's do better, Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Myself included, man. In marriages and friendships, in brotherhood, sisterhood, in business. Let's hold ourselves to the standard, man, that we expect from others. In every single area of life. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.